Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Legends of Sport podcast presented by Fujifilm. I'm your host, Andy Bernstein. This week, we once again took the show on the road, this time to the executive offices of AEG to interview my longtime friend and colleague, Dan Beckerman. Dan is president and CEO of AEG, the world's leading sports and live entertainment company. It is truly a global giant with offices and venues all around the world. To say Dan is a busy guy would be an understatement of epic proportions. He oversees each of AEG's businesses, facilities, presents, sports, global partnerships, and real estate, and finds time to teach a class with Peter Guber at the UCLA Anderson School of Management. Dan and I go way back to his days as the vice president of finance for the LA Clippers before moving over to AEG. I am proud to have served as director of photography for AEG since the arena opening in 1999. It's been an incredible run for both of us. We have witnessed 11 combined championships by the Lakers, Kings, and Sparks. That's truly amazing. Not to mention the Grammys and all the award shows and so many epic concerts. Dan and I talked about the evolution and recent renovation of Crypto.com Arena, formerly known as Staples Center, as well as turning all of LA Live into a pedestrian plaza. So come down and check that out. We also talked about how LA Live became the meeting place for so many historic games, events, and sadly tragedy following the shocking and sudden deaths of Kobe and Gigi Bryant. Our mutual love for the LA Kings and their epic Stanley Cup runs in 2012 and 2014 are memories I will hold dear forever. Dan has 6 rings with the LA Galaxy MLS team, most recently in 2024. We also talked about the adjustments during and after the COVID shutdown and so much more. I've always enjoyed chatting with Dan at games and events, and it was extra special to sit down with him and go into depth on so many shared memories and topics. Thank you to Dan for welcoming us into his offices so we could bring this episode to all of you. Enjoy my conversation with Dan Beckerman, and as always, I'll see you on the backside. Well, I got to say, I'm thrilled to be sitting here in Dan Beckerman's conference room. Dan, you and I, first of all, I got to be official, tell you title, right? Your title is President and CEO of AEG, right?
That's correct.
It's a rather short title for a gigantic responsibility, but I got to tell you how thrilled I am to be here sitting with you amongst all this history that I was part of as well. Seeing photos that I shot all over the office, kind of cool.
You can't walk down our hallway without bumping into at least 5 photos that you took.
Well, you know, that gives me reason to live, so I love it. First of all, how's Annette? How the kids? The girls are good?
Fantastic. Yeah. I appreciate you having me on, by the way. When Michael said, Andy wants to have you on his podcast, Legends of Sport. I said, I'm happy to do it. Who's it about?
It's about you. Dan, so you and I go back, I think, to 95.
Yeah,
right? I had been with the Clippers. You came to the Clippers VP of Finance, right?
That's right.
With the Clippers a couple of years. We don't need to get into all that history, but all of a sudden you're over here working for the Kings. Yeah. We're owned by AEG, still are. And then that obviously transition to where we are right now, once the arena was built and all that. So I just got to read this stat because I couldn't believe it. AEG, of course, is the world's leading sports and live entertainment company. And you personally oversee each of AEG's business of facilities, presents, sports, global partnerships, and real estate, right? The company annually entertains over 100 million guests on 5 continents. Okay, so when do you...
It's kind of intimidating when you say it like that. Well, thanks for creeping me out.
But, I mean, when do you sleep? I mean, there's not enough days in the week to attend all the things you want to go to.
Yeah, there's something going on everywhere in the world at some point overnight. So I get nervous when I wake up in the morning and check my text. There's always something that's happening somewhere. So it's always a surprise in the morning.
Well, the temperament that you have to have in time management, and I can't even fathom what that must be like. I know you obviously have great people working under you and for you throughout the world. I'm going to put you on the spot, though, if you don't mind. So all these years that we've known each other and worked together and went to the same events, and maybe I didn't go to some of them. Give me the top 3 events that you personally have attended. Ooh. Not the top 3 in the history of the company, but that, still kind of top 3. Because people ask me that all the time. What's your favorite photo? My answer always is I have 4 kids, so any given day, I like one of them better than the other. So,
no comment for me on that one. I got 2 of my own.
Right. But you got to give me 3. You got 3?
These are sporting events.
It could be anything.
Oh, you make it hard. You make it harder when you say any events because there's so many unbelievable music events, venue openings, festivals.
Yeah.
If I'm going with sporting events, I probably have to go with one is very recent, which is the Galaxy Championship in December of 2024.
Right, the 6th one, right?
6th MLS Cup Championship.
Unbelievable.
It was particularly special because we were coming off of some really difficult seasons and disappointing performances, and to come back. We finished second to last in the conference the year before, made a lot of changes, brought in a lot of new players, just kind of rethought pretty much everything, and had a fantastic run, went undefeated at home in 2024, hosted MLS Cup, won MLS Cup. So that's got to be near the top of the list. Kings Stanley Cup championships, the 2 of them, hard to pick between the 2.
Right.
2012, first in franchise history, really hard to. That's at the very top of the list, I would think.
Yeah.
2014, also very special because of the journey that was, the opponents that we faced, the 7-game series, coming back from 3-0 against San Jose. That's at the top of the list. And I would say the other one that comes to mind if I'm thinking about music is Coachella, just because it's such a fantastic event. It's grown in the last 20 plus years. I always take my family, I take my kids with me, so it's always a special time.
Yeah.
Getting to see my kids kind of fall in love with live music at festivals like that. So
that's awesome.
Those are probably the top 3.
Yeah, I've never been to Coachella, but
you got to come out this year. Big year.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, this could be the year because I'm not working anymore.
Come
so
out.
It's a good thing.
It'll have you and 125,000 of your closest friends can enjoy the show together.
Exactly. Well, I want to get to the Kings in a minute, but where did you grow up? Did you grow up here in L.A.?
I grew up. I was born in Des Moines, Iowa.
See, I didn't know that.
Hotbed
was not
for
in the Wikipedia
sports.
bio.
No, not that one. Does not make the cut. But I moved to Southern California when I was young. Grew up in Orange County, kind of a modest upbringing, working parents, middle class, went to public school my whole life.
Yeah.
Graduated school with a whole bunch of student debt. And, went to work on paying that down.
And then you ended up going to UCLA, right?
Yeah.
So the Anderson School of Management.
Yep, undergrad and then graduate school there also.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you're giving back with our mutual friend, Peter Guber, another great guest, great friend of the podcast. Do you guys teach together? Or
we do.
Really? I got to come be a fly on the wall for that.
It's
I can imagine the 2 different styles there.
Yeah, it's different, but the students get kind of a unique perspective. But Peter's been teaching there for I think 40 plus years, and he doesn't like it when I say this, but he was actually one of my professors when I went to. It makes him feel old when I say that, but but he was fantastic. He was fantastic, and then he was teaching a film and television class. And then I was a guest of his, many, many years ago. And then after that, he asked me to teach it with him. So every week we have a different guest, and I've been teaching with him for, 10, 11, 12 years, something like that.
That's amazing. I mean,
it's fun.
It's the ultimate giving back, being of service to the next generation. I'm doing that with young sports photographers. I love it. It's part of my new role with the NBA.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, and so you're being a mentor, right? You and Peter.
I like being around young people.
Right. I do too.
I get a lot out of it too. I learn a lot talking to a bunch of 20 and 30-year-olds as an old man like me.
Well, you're in the same boat because they have to teach me how to use all this digital technology, which I can't figure out for the life of me. My daughter, when she was like 4, was teaching me how to use a digital camera. No, seriously. But so you're a mentor. Who are your mentors? You have a couple that you could point to?
There have been several people who've made a big difference when I think about my professional career. So I have kind of a deep appreciation for anyone who either gave me an opportunity or taught me something along the way or gave me some good advice along the way. So, most recently, I would say, the owner of our company, Phil Anschutz, gave me an unbelievable opportunity back when I started. And most recently, although it was actually, I think it's 12 years ago today, that I got my current role.
Really?
Yeah, and that was what?
Well, congratulations! We picked it. We just randomly picked it.
It literally, I think it's 12 years ago today.
Wow.
So I was 43 back then.
Wow.
Kind of took a chance to give me this opportunity, and getting to work closely with him over the last 12 years. I mean, I've been here, 27, 28 years now in total. But
crazy.
Most recently, really being able to learn from him is pretty unique opportunity that not a lot of people get. So I'm really appreciative of that. And then other people who have given me opportunities or taught me along the way. I mean, my first job in sports was from Andy Roser, our old friend Andy. Our old friend Andy. So he took a chance on me. At that time, I was in my mid-20s. Yeah. And he gave me, and I was sort of really persistent and relentless trying to get a job in sports. Yeah. I was knocking on every door in the world, and he took a chance on someone with relatively little experience. Yeah. So I'm appreciative of him. And then, Tim Leiweke here, he brought me here to the Kings in 1997, gave me a great opportunity. Got to work with him for a while, learned a lot from him. So I've been lucky, actually, over the years to have people who would take chances on me.
Well, I like to say we make our own luck because, of our preparation and professionalism and all that. But those are some pretty good role models right there, and also some great mentors. I want to talk about the arena for a second. I mean, it's hard to believe we're in the 26th year now of the arena. I mean, it blows my mind.
Isn't it great you can say the arena and we know what everybody knows what you're talking about.
I mean, it's obviously Crypto.com Arena. Yeah. We all remember it as Staples Center. I mean, we can remember it as both, I think. Yep.
It's funny. We have so many arenas, but when I say I'm going to the arena, everybody knows exactly where to meet it
because it's so iconic, right? I mean, it literally the history that arena has witnessed and has hosted is unbelievable. I'll just read this for a second. Since 1999, the arena has hosted 11 professional championships, right? Lakers with 6, Kings with 2, Sparks with 3. Of course, you want to add the Galaxy in sort of vicariously, so that's a lot of rings going on.
It's a few.
And you mentioned Tim Leiweke, which I'm glad you did, because before the arena was built, one of the sort of marching orders that I got from Tim and from Lee Zeidman was, we want to make this fan experience different. Yeah. We want to make it look a little bit like you're walking into like a gallery or a museum. Yeah. So hence the 3 levels of suites, which no one had ever done. I don't even think anybody does it now. But each level of suites had photos. And, I was given the task of finding photos to put on these suites. I don't even think you know this, but I said to both of them, I said, this is great. I'm happy to do it, but we haven't had any events yet. Right. They said, we're going to have the events. Just put the pictures up. We were literally changing pictures. Oh, yeah. Somebody would come in, do a concert. We'd stick that photo in the frame, you know. Yeah. So now when I walk around and I see the history of the arena, through the photos, and then of course at Peacock Theater, same thing in the lobby. Visual history is really important. How do you interpret that? How David Stern, one of my great mentors, of course, and my longtime boss, imagery was super important to him because of the history of the league, but also the image of the league.
Yeah, I'm as you know, because we've known each other for over 30 years. I'm a photography buff myself. Yeah. And when I think about our venues, what's important is the history and the tradition and the memories. And I think that's why it was so important. And now you have such a rich catalog now. We don't have to fake it to come up with the images. Right. In fact, you have to choose between, because there's so many incredible ones. And I walk the concourse and the suite level and the event level. I walked the event level, from the locker room and the back down to the elevator, that whole labyrinth. And there's so many unbelievable images. Yeah. And each one of them triggers a memory when you walk by them. Yeah, it's true. And you've taken some great boxing photos. I'm a boxing fan, so I walk along the suite levels. I see those events. I see the Laker championships. I see all the Kings Stanley Cup championships. And I think we're in the experience business. And as Peter Guber would say, we're in the emotional transportation business. And I think when you see those images, and if people who have been suite holders for 20 plus years, you walk down the hallway and it evokes all of these incredible memories. And And the beauty of sports is the uncertainty of it. This is another thing we talk about in the class that Peter and I do. We talk about the uncertainty and how live sports is really kind of the last piece of entertainment where you go and you don't know what you're going to see. And I think when you walk on the halls and you see those memories of LeBron scoring the basket to break the record or hitting a milestone or Kings winning a championship, it brings back those memories. Because, not, as you know, you're not going to win every game.
No.
But those ones are the ones that have the lasting impact on your on sort of your perception of the venue, of the team, of the sport.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it, obviously warms my heart, and we're still shooting and we're still producing photography from all these events. I want to talk about Kobe for a second, because right outside this meeting room is this amazing picture of, and I don't think my group shot it. I think maybe Evan Gold shot it, of the plaza at Kobe's last game, right? Where every person was wearing Kobe jersey. AEG put up all these great banners and murals. One of them actually will be in the book that Vanessa and I are doing, by the way.
Love that.
And it was such a joyous day, April 13th, 2016.
Remember it.
And then we have to, unfortunately, fast forward to the tragedy, the day of the tragedy in 2020. And, just the fact that LA Live was the meeting place, still, I get emotional just even thinking about it, because coming down here and seeing the love, the grief, and having this be the place where people went, like the Dakota was the place when John Lennon was killed. And then all the messages that were put on the plaza, on the pavement, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what went through your mind during that?
I mean, it's devastating. Yeah. Obviously, I'll never forget the phone call that I got. I think it was right when the Grammys were. I think it was the day before, the day of the Grammys.
Yeah.
And it was leading up to it. And I remember the phone call I got, and I was absolutely devastated. And you're right. People spontaneously congregated here. Not just a few people. No. And you remember people were painting messages on the plaza. There were memorials, there were flowers, there were basketballs, there were shoes. Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely covered. And I remember Lee and I walked through it afterwards, because we were like, what do we do? And we ended up giving everything to Vanessa. Yeah. But so many just heartfelt notes and pictures. And I mean, you're right. It was absolutely overwhelming. But you're right. People, they came here and they stayed here for days.
Yeah, it was like a cathedral of grief.
It was.
I mean, there's no other way to really describe it.
Yeah.
So the highs and lows and all of that. And over the years, there's been other arenas, other stadiums coming up in the LA area. Yep. You guys, LA Live Staples Center was first, and then of course the theater, and then LA Live, and created something out of nothing in this part of downtown LA. So now there's a few more people on the block to compete with. And I know you guys have done a huge renovation. It's been 2-3 years of renovating, right? What phase are we in of this renovation?
We are entering the final phase.
Oh, okay.
The first 3 phases, which we completed over the last 3 summers, where it's all of the public-facing, fan-facing areas. That was the most important piece. And as you've heard a lot about the renovations. There's something for every fan, from the upper concourse to the tunnel suites. Right. So I'm really happy with the way that turned out, and the feedback's been incredible, and people love the new look, the new feel, the new offering. So I'm really happy with that. The 4th phase, which is sort of the one that people won't see, but you'll see it because you're down there, is this summer we're redoing all of the locker room spaces.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow,
so
amazing.
With the Clippers vacating, we have a lot of new space. There was a land grab, as you can imagine, about everybody wants more space. So we're redoing all the visiting and all the home team locker rooms.
It was interesting. I was in the Delta Club.
Yes.
I was invited before a game to go in, and I couldn't figure out where that space came from, because the old chairman's room was like a
tiny
1/8 of the size of that.
It was
seriously. Where did that space come from?
We had to sort of reimagine that space. There were different. There was green rooms. There was warehouse that stored merchandise. There was all kinds of things that we had down there, and drove Lee crazy because we had to relocate all these things. And where am I supposed to put this? You'll find a place for it. We need to make a bigger club, because we wanted to. I mean, the chairman's room was great, but we couldn't when you think about the modern arena and accommodating courtside seat holders and ice seat holders, there are certain things that people expect. So we needed more space to give them a complete offering.
Look, you go to a lot of arenas, and so do I. That's top shelf.
It's great.
I mean, I was
great
like
space.
blown away by it.
Right off the court, off the ice. It's A+.
Well, one of the biggest things that obvious to fans as they come, into the complex here, is that you guys decided finally to pave 11th Street.
Yeah.
So now it's one big gigantic plaza.
Yeah.
Just a couple of ideas of what is planned there. I mean, every winter we see a rink there, an ice skating rink for the people to go. But is there something you can share at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's something our real estate group, Ted Tanner, who's overseen every development that we've done. You talked about LA Live and kind of this entertainment district model with an arena and other venues around a multi-use campus, really.
Yeah.
So we've done that. You look around, there's one in London that we built after we built LA Live. There's the one right there in Germany and Berlin that we built after we built the one in London.
Yeah.
So the whole vision there is to have sort of this communal place where you can have events. This new plaza, I think, opens up a lot of doors for us to do. You think about expanding red carpets, you think about fan fests, just the fan experience of moving throughout the campus without having to navigate a street and having one sort of level plaza.
I think it's been great.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
You mentioned the ice rink.
Yeah.
Of always been like, that ice rink was a little small. We have so many people who want to do it.
Yeah.
So I haven't talked about this yet with our folks, but I really like the idea of doing a much bigger ice rink.
You heard it here first on the Legends of Sport podcast.
Well, I don't know. I got to make sure that we can actually pull it off. But
I think, you have the space for sure.
We now have the space. So I think it's just for events and outdoor events. I mean, you think about, we did that Nike 3-on-3 where we have all the basketball courts we set up.
The Mamba Invitational.
Mamba Invitational.
It was beautiful.
There's all kinds of opportunities that are open to us now.
That's great. I love it. I want to talk about two other things. Okay. So almost to the day, we're 5 years removed from when everything shut down for COVID. I mean, I think it was March 11th.
Yeah, it was
our last game.
Yeah,
it was
that's
a
right.
Clipper game, I believe, or maybe a Laker game. But anyway, next day, and then boom, done. And it seems like a million years ago, but yet it doesn't.
It was traumatic enough to have a lasting imprint.
Unbelievable. And then things are starting to come back, but in such a limited way. I remember getting tested in the parking lot, just to get in the building, having different levels of security of where you can be and not be. Shooting, the most surreal thing, honestly, in 2021 was shooting Kings games with no people in the stands.
Yeah.
The Kings would score a goal, the horn would go off, there'd be nobody standing up, So.
It was eerie. And I would sneak in, and Lee and Luke and I would sneak into I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but we'd sneak into the fanless games, and we'd have to kind of hide out. And you're right, it was really strange.
It was so bizarre. I mean, there's a documentary in there somewhere.
Gotta be.
Because,
there you go. That's your next.
Well, let's do it. We'll partner on it. Okay, so we got to talk about the Kings, and I go back.
We go back to COVID for a second, because it was traumatic in a lot of ways. But when I look at the way that our industry, both sports and music, came back after that, I try to take some positives away from things, and I got to tell you, I mean, I've never seen it bounce back so quickly as it did coming out of the pandemic. Like we would sit back and we would wonder, like, how long is it going to take to get back to where we were in 2019? So we have 2019 as our benchmark, where things were going really well in the live event business. We said, okay, is it going to take 3 years? Is it going to take 5 years? Are people going to be apprehensive? Are they going to, is it people are going to suddenly lose their appetite for mass gatherings? Because that's our only business. We're in the mass gathering business. Exactly. That's it. We got nothing
like
else.
You're selling cars. People have to buy cars.
Yeah. I mean, we went to zero overnight, pretty much. So what was kind of heartening to me is how not only did we not reach where we were in 2019, it didn't take 3 and 5 years. We surpassed it immediately.
Unbelievable.
And in the last even several years since then, it's continued to grow. So what I take away from this, and it's funny, it gets back to something that Peter and I would talk about in our class before the pandemic. We would talk about, what are the threats to the live entertainment business? Are TV screens going to become so good, and are the VR goggles going to become so clear? Like, you get an 8K TV, is that going to replace the live experience? Like, are we going to be out of business one day? And I'll tell you, the conclusion that I've come to is coming out of the pandemic is there is no substitute for the live experience, and people were dying to get back and be at a live event. So for our business, you know, if I'm going to take something positive away, it was kind of reaffirming our whole premise.
Oh, absolutely. Look, you know, I'm a big Springsteen fan, right? So he opened the arena, 4 concerts in 1999.
Yep.
Of course, I had to be there and document that. But, you know, I mean,
For work.
I love watching YouTube videos, or, you know, he just did the road diary thing, but there's nothing that compares to the live experience of being there. So
it's the best.
Yeah, we got to get him back, you know.
I know.
There's a lot of history.
I'll tell you, we had him at our Hyde Park Music Festival in London 2 years ago.
Okay, I didn't know that was an AEG thing.
Oh yeah. That's one of ours. And I remember that show in particular was just like
it's like 120,000 people or something.
It's a massive gathering, and we do it over. It's 9 shows over 3 weekends.
Unbelievable.
So another one I got to get. I got to get you to Coachella, and I got to get you to Hyde Park.
You don't have to twist my arm on that one, buddy. I'll drive you to the airport for that one. So let's talk about the Kings. So I go back with the Kings to literally when I was in school, 1978. So this is like 46 years of shooting Kings hockey, believe it or not. And I remember being back in the Forum days and seeing this core group of fans. You know, they had a very small fan base, but they were really dedicated and they loved their Kings. Kings were terrible. They had a little bit of a run, 92, and during the Gretzky era. Kings move over here. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I didn't think in my lifetime I would ever see the Stanley Cup on home ice, be it the Forum, anywhere else. There's Dustin Brown hoisting the Stanley Cup in 2012. I literally am seeing people behind him who I had seen at the Forum back in the day. You know, the one guy had the sign, remember, said, "Now I can die." You know, I mean, that was to me, I had to be a fan in that moment. I also had to work because if I didn't get the picture, you know, I probably would have gotten fired. But just experiencing the Kings, I remember they brought the Stanley Cup. Remember down the seats?
Oh yeah,
it was just an amazing moment.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's why it's at the top of my list for the most memorable things I've ever been a part of.
It was
most
so
memorable
great.
Events. Yeah. And it was cathartic. I mean, it had been forever. I mean, it never won the cup before.
Never.
And you know, fans just you know, I get choked up when I talk about it. And it was such a kind of an unlikely run because it hit us by, so we came in as a low seed and we were playing Vancouver. They won the President's Trophy, I think, that year, and just kind of ran right through it. It was sort of the opposite of 2014 where we struggled through every round and had to go 7 games in so many series. We just rolled, and it was so, and as a low seed, so it was just, it was kind of in shock, and we were traveling to all of the away games, and it was like, what's happening?
It was crazy. I mean, Jonathan Quick was like out of his mind.
Yeah, on his head.
And then 2014, just a little sidebar, you know, I grew up a Rangers fan in New York. I mean, I grew up in Madison Square Garden going to games. All of a sudden, I'm the enemy going back in the Garden. And I was shooting on the opposite end of where our seats were. So I'm like channeling my dad, who passed a long time ago. But, you know, it was just such a surreal experience. It felt great to beat him.
It did. We had a couple of rough nights at the Garden, though, with the fans there, because they pretty quickly learned that, you know, our group was with the Kings. They didn't. We had to stay moving to stay safe.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple of encounters. I was wearing a Kings jacket, which was also surreal. And they didn't like that I was sitting in a spot they don't normally put photographers because there's so many photographers have to shoot. Anyway, I figured it all out, but it all worked. But what an experience that was.
I remember the second to last game, we lost the second at the Garden. We lost that game.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was like waiting for the bus or something down there, and fans were walking by, and one guy just said, "Hey, thanks for not winning it here." It's like, we just wanted to get out of Dodge at that point. I just wanted to be safe.
Yeah, and I've been through that with the Lakers and in Boston and in Philly and everywhere else. I mean, you take your life in your hands, just want to get on the plane and get out of there.
Oh, yeah.
So the last thing I want to ask you about is the future. So 2028, LA is hosting the Olympics.
Yep.
What are the plans here for this campus?
We have, I would say, between our campus here and our campus in Carson, where the Galaxy play at Dignity Health Sports Park, you know, we had really early conversations with Casey. You know, his first kind of, I think, 3 big deals that he did is he did his deal at USC, did his deal at UCLA, and he did his deal with us at AEG as kind of their core venue partner, because we have, you know, 2 campuses between LA Live and Dignity Health Sports Park where we knew they were going to have a lot of different sports. So I think it's going to be incredible. A lot of the work that we did at Crypto, what you alluded to in the Plaza, a lot of this stuff was with LA 28 in our minds, knowing that they're going to come in and they're going to take over. They're doing events at the theater. They're doing gymnastics at Crypto.com Arena. They have events at the convention center. Yeah. The hotel is going to be a big part of it, so it's going to be a big takeover. And then down in Carson, we have a ton of events. We have a 125-acre campus there. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have rugby in our big stadium. We're going to have cycling in our velodrome. We're going to have tennis. We're going to have a few other events too. So
wow, where's soccer going to be?
Soccer is going to be, they're going to, I think, move that around. I'm not sure they've announced the sites yet, but it'll be in kind of probably bigger stadiums.
Amazing. That's going to be something. I can't believe it's going to be the third Olympics. In the beginning of my career was the 84 Olympics.
Yeah.
And I was with the Dream Team. Of course, in 92, I've shot almost every Olympic team, USA basketball has had. But to have the Olympics back here in LA, it'd be pretty amazing.
I think it's going to be spectacular. Yeah. I think it'll be like an 80. It's going to change the city. I mean, and Casey and I are close to the same age, and I think both he and I kind of fell in love with the Olympics in '84. So even from a distance, I'm happy to just kind of be connected to it in some way.
For sure. Are you going to convince Lee Zeidman to stay to the Olympics?
I mean,
every time I see him, he's like retiring the next week. I'm like, Lee, you got to stay. The Olympics are coming.
I'll drag him here to the games for sure.
We both love him. Anyway, best. Dan, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
It's great to see you.
Great seeing you.
And chop it up a little bit and go back memory lane. And man, those sports arena days. We didn't even talk about the sports arena.
I know.
That's a whole other conversation.
It's not even there anymore.
Yeah, it's another conversation. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it.
Well, big thanks to Dan Beckerman for a wide-ranging and really, really fun conversation on this week's episode. Big thanks to the legendary Michael Roth for making this interview possible in Dan's office so we could bring this episode to all of you. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into this episode and for continuing to support the Legends of Sport podcast presented by Fujifilm. Please follow them on Instagram at FujifilmX_US. That's at FujifilmX_US. Folks, please tell all your friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Legends of Sport, and our Instagram at Legends of Sport, and my photography can be found on Instagram at ADB Photo Inc. Thanks as always to our producer, Carlin Barker, and our editors, Sean Gosser and Addison Shao, and also to our intern, Jacob Teng. Thanks again, everyone, for checking out this episode. We'll be back next week with another great episode on the Legends of Sport podcast presented by Fujifilm.